At my daughter's wedding, I reached for the chair they had set for me at the reception. Before I could lower myself, her fiancé yanked it back. My body hit the polished marble with a crack that silenced the orchestra. Laughter rippled through the tables of champagne-sipping guests. Then his words, sharp enough to cut through bone, "Your place is on the floor." I didn't shout or curse. I simply looked up at my daughter's groom, every muscle in my body aching, every memory of the years I'd carried her alone burning behind my eyes. Humiliation pressed heavily on my chest, but so did restraint. And then boots crossed the marble, urgent, deliberate. The groom's father, late to the ceremony, stopped dead when his eyes found mine. His face drained of color. He whispered, barely breathing, "Sir, is that you?" That moment turned the whole wedding inside out. Hey friend, if you love real gripping stories where justice hits hard and betrayal never goes unpunished, please subscribe. It's 1 second for you but a big deal for me. 6 months earlier, I thought my daughter had found real happiness. The garage smelled like it always did, motor oil, old coffee, and decades of honest work soaked into concrete. I was under a '67 Mustang when I heard her voice cut through the clang of metal. "Dad, you here?" I rolled out from under the car, wiping grease on a rag that had seen 20 years of service. Sophia stood in the doorway, backlit by October sun, her smile bright enough to power the whole borough. "Always here, sweetheart," I said, pushing myself up. My knees complained, 58 years of hard living, but I didn't let it show. She rushed over and that's when I saw it. The ring. Diamond catching the light like a small star on her finger. "Dad." Her voice trembled. "I'm engaged." Time did something strange then. I saw her at 6, grease-smudged from helping me rebuild an engine. At 16, crying after her first heartbreak. At 22, walking across that stage to accept her degree, the first Holloway in 3 generations to earn one. "Let me see it." I held her hand gently. The ring was big, flashy, the kind that cost more than my truck. "It's beautiful, honey. Tell me about him." Her eyes lit up. "His name is Preston Fairmont. Investment banking at Whitmore and Associates. He's brilliant, ambitious, and he treats me like I'm precious." Preston Fairmont. Even the name sounded expensive. "When do I meet him?" "Next week. Dinner. Somewhere nice," he said. I looked at my hands, calloused, scarred, permanently stained with years of grime no soap could erase. Somewhere nice. I already felt out of place. After Sophia left, I sat staring at the wall of photographs. Her life in snapshots. Birthday parties with homemade cakes. Her prom dress bought secondhand but altered by Mrs. Kim. Graduation day. And there, center position, Rebecca on our wedding day. 26 years old in a dress she'd sewn herself, looking at me like I was everything. We'd had nothing but love and a dream that hard work would be enough. Cancer took her 12 years into our marriage, left me with a 7-year-old asking when mommy was coming home. But we'd made it. Through scraped knees and double shifts and Christmases so tight I wrapped up my own tools as gifts. Sophia never complained. Never made me feel insufficient. Until now, when she was marrying someone who could give her everything I couldn't. The restaurant was called Aurelius. Glass and gold, chandeliers worth more than my annual income. I stood outside adjusting my funeral tie before walking through brass doors that probably cost what I made in a month. The hostess looked at me like I'd wandered from a construction site. "Reservation. Holloway." Her surprise was barely masked. "Right this way, sir." I followed through maze of beautiful people eating tiny portions of unpronounceable food to a corner booth where Sophia sat beside a man who looked assembled by committee. Preston Fairmont. Mid-30s, perfect hair, perfect teeth, suit that cost a month's rent. Watch that screamed wealth. "Mr. Holloway." His handshake was practiced, calculated. "It's wonderful to finally meet you. Call me Theo." The waiter appeared. Preston didn't ask what anyone wanted. The '09 Bordeaux. Bottle service. "Actually," I started, "I'll just..." "Trust me, Theo. I have excellent taste in these things." I didn't touch the wine when it came. Preston dominated conversation, market trends, Martha's Vineyard weekends, people moving in circles I'd never enter. And then casual as a knife. "So, Theo, you're a mechanic. That must be satisfying work." The way he said satisfying made it sound like simple. "It pays the bills. Kept a roof over our heads." Of course. Different generations, different challenges. I imagine the community in neighborhoods like yours, Brooklyn, yes, must compensate for the limitations. There it was. What limitations? His smile widened. Nothing specific. Just that certain standards of living make simpler pleasures difficult to appreciate. Generational, I think. Sophia jumped in. Dad appreciates nice things too. I appreciate honest things, I said quietly. The meal crawled forward. Tiny courses, huge pretension. Preston talked about how Sophia came from humble beginnings, but look at her now. Like her childhood was a disease she'd recovered from. She worked hard, I said. I'm proud of her. As you should be. Though now she won't have to work quite so hard, will she? That's partnership, letting someone else carry the weight. He squeezed her hand, watch glinting. Lord knows she's worried about making ends meet long enough. My jaw tightened. Those years when I skipped meals so she wouldn't have to, he was calling them failure. Finally the check came. Preston made a show of surprise, then slid it across the table. Toward me. Tradition. The bride's father pays, right? $347. More than a week's groceries. Sophia's face went pale. Preston, that's not nonsense. Your father wants to show support. Don't you, Theo? Every eye turned. A test I hadn't known I was taking. I placed my card down. Of course. Preston leaned back, triumphant. Excellent. This is what family is about. Supporting each other. I added a tip I couldn't afford and left. Outside my phone buzzed. Sophia, Dad, I'm sorry. He didn't mean it that way. Please don't be upset. I typed back. I'm not upset, sweetheart. I love you. But walking to the subway I felt something harder than upset. Recognition. I'd seen men like Preston before. Officers who confused rank with worth. Who measured everything by power. And I knew what happened when they went unchecked. Weeks of wedding planning followed. Venues I couldn't afford. Guest lists where I knew no one. Preston's comments a constant drip of condescension. Don't worry about the tux rental, Theo. I'll cover it. Can't have the father of the bride in off the rack. The rehearsal dinner is black tie. I know that's not your scene, but you can manage for one night. Each comment a small knife. 3 weeks before the wedding, Darnell, an old army buddy turned lawyer, met me for coffee. You look tired, man. What's going on? I told him. About Preston. The dinner. The systematic diminishment. That's psychological manipulation, Darnell said. Classic isolation tactic. Make the support system feel inadequate so the target becomes more dependent. He pulled out his phone, showed me an article. I did some digging. Preston's firm was investigated 2 years ago for questionable practices. Nothing criminal but ethical gray areas. Guy operates in margins. That night I couldn't sleep. Around 11 I heard an expensive engine outside my house. Preston's BMW, engine running. He was on his phone talking loud. Perfect actually. Sweet, trusting, exactly what I need. And her father? He laughed. Complete non-issue. Simple guy. Won't be a problem. My blood went cold. It's strategic. She's got connections, good reputation, desperate to prove she's more than her background. Easy to guide. Plus, once we're married, I can leverage her network properly. Best part? She's so grateful someone like me chose someone like her that she doesn't ask questions. Another pause. Her father's a joke. Made him pay $300 for dinner just to watch him squirm. The look on his face, priceless. He laughed again. She'll be useful. Useful. My daughter. The girl I'd raised with everything I had. The next day I called Darnell. I heard him. Outside my house. Called her an acquisition. You need to tell Sophia. She won't believe me. That's your daughter. You have to try. But when I saw Sophia for dinner that week, I couldn't find the words that wouldn't sound like jealous fabrication. Dad, you okay? She asked. Just want you to be happy. Truly happy. I am happy. But her voice carried a question mark. 3 nights before the wedding, pounding came at my garage door. Not knocking, pounding. Preston stood there, drunk, disheveled, face flushed with rage. We need to talk. He pushed past me. You've been poisoning her against me. I haven't said anything that wasn't true. Truth? You're jealous. Can't stand she found someone better. Better how? Every way. Money, status, future. What do you have? Grease under your fingernails. I have her love. Her respect. Can't buy those. He stepped closer, swaying. She chose me. Nothing you can do. You're right. But I heard you. 3 nights ago. Outside my house. Talking about how useful she'll be. How her father's a joke. His face went pale, then red. You were spying? You were loud enough for the block to hear. That's business talk. It doesn't mean. It means you see her as a tool. Not someone to love. I do love her. She has value beyond. He stopped, realizing his mistake. Value. like a stock option. His hands clenched. For a moment I thought he'd swing. But something in my stillness stopped him. "Get out of my garage, Preston." He stormed out. Minutes later, Sophia texted, "Preston says you accused him of using me." "Dad, what's going on?" "We had a disagreement. I'll explain later. I love you. I need space. From both of you." My daughter wasn't speaking to me. The wedding was in 72 hours. The night before the wedding, Eleanor Fairmont, Preston's aunt, called. "Mr. Holloway, I think you should know something. Preston has always been ambitious to a fault. His father raised him to see people as assets. I've watched him do this in business, now with your daughter. Why tell me? Because Sophia deserves better. And because whatever happens tomorrow, be there. She'll need you." Morning came without sleep. The wedding morning broke clear and sharp. I dressed in my graduation suit, pressed carefully, tie from Rebecca's funeral. In the mirror, a working man dressed for something important. At 9, Sophia texted, "Dad, I'm sorry. Can you come early? I need to see you." At the venue, surrounded by makeup artists and bridesmaids, she dismissed everyone. "Let me talk first." Her voice shook. "Preston told me what you said. About the phone call. And I was so angry." She took a breath. "But last night I couldn't sleep. Started thinking about everything. How he talks to you. About you. How he's been changing me, making me feel like I wasn't good enough before him." Tears spilled. "This morning I overheard him with his father. Calling the wedding a strategic alliance. My college connections, useful for expanding the firm. How he'd managed the father situation. My heart broke. I'm so stupid. You tried to warn me. You're not stupid. You're human." She looked in the mirror. At Rebecca's dress, altered to fit. "I don't know what to do. Everyone's here. 3 hours until the ceremony. I can't just." "Yes, you can. But what if I'm overreacting? Are you scared? Or finally listening to your instincts?" She collapsed against me, sobbing. "I don't know if I can go through with it. But I don't know if I can call it off. Whatever you decide, I'm here. Your choice. Always." Finally she pulled back. "Stay close during the ceremony? In case I need you?" "I'm not going anywhere, princess." The ceremony was beautiful and empty. Perfect rose, expensive flowers, professional orchestra. Preston at the altar, smile fixed. I walked Sophia down the aisle. Halfway her steps slowed. "Dad, I can't." "Breathe. We'll figure it out." We reached the altar. Vows were spoken. Rings exchanged. The kiss shared. My daughter was married. And I'd failed to protect her. The reception gleamed with crystal and chandeliers. I found my place card. Table 12. Far from family, tucked between strangers. During the father-daughter dance I whispered, "You can still leave. The papers are signed. We're married. Papers can be unsigned. It's not too late. I'm tired of fighting. Maybe this is enough. Maybe isn't good enough for you." The dance ended. I returned to my table. Preston's uncle called me over. Some story to share. I stood, reached for my chair. Preston appeared at my elbow. I felt what under my palm started to sit. The chair vanished. Yanked backward. My body pitched, arms flailing. Time stretched. Faces turning, eyes widening, Preston's smile sharp as glass. I hit marble. Crack that silenced everything. Pain exploded through my body. Chandeliers spinning overhead. Silence. Then laughter. Scattered, nervous, then louder. Preston stood above me, holding my chair. "Oops. Someone's unsteady. Age catches us all." He leaned closer. "Maybe you're more comfortable down there. Your place is on the floor." The room held its breath. Sophia cried out. Rushed toward me. But I didn't move. Lay there, letting 300 guests see exactly what happened. Around me, laughter died. Gasp. Whispers. "Dad." Sophia dropped beside me. "Are you hurt?" "I'm okay." Her eyes shifted to Preston. "What did you do?" "Accident, darling." He was off balance. "Liar." The word came from the entrance. New voice. Commanding. Boots crossed marble. Not wedding shoes. Military boots. Steady, purposeful. A man stood in the archway. 60s, gray temples, square shoulders. Expensive suit but military posture. Late, disheveled but commanding. His eyes scanned the scene. Yes. Me on floor. Preston with chair. Then his gaze found my face. He stopped cold. Color draining. Eyes widening. "Sir," he breathed. "Is that you?" Time suspended. I pushed myself up. Knew that voice. From Fallujah. From chaos and blood and a street where everything went wrong. Saul Hale. Preston's father. The man I'd carried through gunfire. Our eyes met across 15 years. Sergeant Reyes? His voice cracked. The ballroom erupted in whispers. Preston's face went from confused to pale. Dad? What are you talking about? Saul crossed the floor, boots echoing. Reached me. Extended his hand, to help me stand. Sir. I never thought I'd see you again. I took his hand. Felt the grip, the calluses, the tremor. It's been a long time, Colonel Hale. 15 years. I never stopped looking for you. Never stopped trying to find the man who saved my life. His eyes were wet. I never imagined I'd find you like this. Preston stammered. Dad, what? Saul looked at his son. Disappointment and anger warred on his face. What am I saying? I'm saying this man, the one you just humiliated, whose place you said was on the floor, is the reason I'm alive. The reason you have a father. He turned to the crowd. This man saved my life in Fallujah. April 2009. Route Irish ambush. IED took out our lead vehicle. I took shrapnel, couldn't walk. We were pinned down, taking casualties. The guests leaned forward. And this sergeant, who had no reason to risk his life for an officer he'd never met, picked me up. Threw me over his shoulder. Ran 300 yards through open fire. Tracers cutting the air. Rounds hitting asphalt around us. His voice dropped but carried. I was bleeding out, half-conscious, certain we'd die. He just kept running. Got me to the evac point. Put me on the helicopter. Then went back. Pulled out 2 more wounded soldiers. Took a round through his shoulder but didn't stop. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The medic said I shouldn't have survived. Another 60 seconds and I'd be dead. Saul's voice cracked. This man gave me 15 years. Let me see my children grow. Build my company. Watch my son get married. He turned to Preston, disappointment deepening. And I just watched that son pull a chair from under him. Watched him mock a hero. Preston staggered back. I didn't know. You weren't supposed to know who he was, Saul cut in. You were supposed to treat him with respect because he's your wife's father. Because he's human. The whispers grew. For months I've heard about my son's relationship. About the wonderful woman. And her father, just a mechanic, Preston called him. Simple man from Brooklyn. Different class of people. Preston made a strangled sound. I thought marriage might teach you what matters. But watching you deliberately humiliate this hero, I realize I failed as a father. Failed to teach you that worth isn't measured by bank accounts. It's measured by character. I finally spoke, calm and steady. Respect isn't given because of impressive credentials. It's given because people are human. The words dropped like stones. Sophia's tears fell freely, but her eyes shone with something like pride. Preston tried again, desperate. Sergeant Reyes, I'm deeply sorry. If I'd known. If you'd known, Sophia interrupted, ice in her voice, you would have what? Treated him differently because of his war record instead of because he's my father? She looked around the ballroom. You heard him. If I'd known. Like the only reason to treat someone decently is if they have credentials to wave around. She turned to Preston. My father didn't tell me about Iraq. About medals, about being a hero. Because none of that mattered as much as being there for me. Making sure I had dinner and homework help. Showing up exhausted from double shifts. Her voice rose. He measured success by whether I felt loved. And I was so blinded by your world, the money, the status, that I forgot what real love looks like. Preston reached for her. She pulled back. Don't. Sophia, please. I'll do better. You called me an acquisition. I heard you. On the phone. Talking about me like a merger. My father like a problem you'd managed. Preston went white. That was, I can explain? Can you? Can you explain how someone who loves me talks that way? Saul's wife appeared. Eleanor was right. She warned us you were treating this like a business deal. I do love her, Preston said desperately. I approach everything strategically. Doesn't mean I don't care. But it means you don't respect, I said quietly. Without respect, love is just a word. The ballroom was silent. Sophia looked at her ring. Once beautiful, now hollow. I can't do this. What are you saying? I'm saying I choose dignity. Truth. The values my parents taught me. Slowly she slid off the ring. Held it out to Preston. Gasps filled the room. You're throwing away everything. No. I'm choosing everything I already have. Love without conditions. Respect that doesn't need earning. A father who sees me as a daughter, not an acquisition. She placed the ring on the table. Took my hand. Can we go home, Dad? I looked at her in Rebecca's dress, tears streaming, courage radiating. Yeah, Princess. We can go home. We walked out together. Past shocked guests and silent orchestra. Past Preston calling her name. Past all the expensive beauty that had seemed so important. Outside, April sunset painted the sky in fire. Sophia leaned against me. I'm sorry it ended this way. Don't be. You saw the truth and chose wisely. Saul caught up at the door. Theo. I've spent 15 years trying to thank you. I never imagined it like this. He extended his hand. Thank you. For saving my life. For showing me I failed to teach my son what matters. I shook his hand. You've got time to teach him still. I intend to. Starting today. We drove back to Brooklyn. Back home. Where we belonged. 3 days later, Sophia sat at my kitchen table in sweatpants and my old army shirt, eating leftover pizza for breakfast while lawyers handled annulment paperwork. Preston's called 23 times, she said. Voicemails about how he's changed, his father's counseling him. What does your gut say? That people can change. But I can't be who he practices on. She moved back to Brooklyn. 3 blocks away above the Santos Bakery. The neighborhood helped her move. Mr. Okafor's truck, Mrs. Kim's curtains, the Vasquez kids for pizza. Real. Loud. Honest. 6 months later she was thriving, promoted to senior marketing director. Preston transferred to California. I got coffee occasionally with Saul. Strange friendship, forged in violence turned to salvation. Preston was in therapy, really working. Whether it would take remained to be seen. Saul sent a letter establishing the Sergeant Theo Reyes Scholarship at Brooklyn Technical High School. 4 working-class students pursuing technical careers. A scholarship in your name, Dad, Sophia cried when I showed her. Kids will go to college because of you. Because of who you are every single day, she said. A year later Sophia called. Dad? Dinner Sunday? I'm bringing someone. Tell me about him. His name is Felix. High school English teacher. Grew up in the Bronx. His mom was a nurse. He knows what work means. Plus, he's heard the whole story. Asked to meet you first. Said he wanted your approval. Felix arrived Sunday at 6 sharp. Teacher, 29, khakis and old sweater. Firm handshake, direct eyes. Mr. Holloway, thank you for having me. Call me Theo. We had dinner, pot roast, vegetables. Felix ate with real appetite, asked good questions, listened when Mrs. Kim visited. I showed him the garage. He knew nothing about cars but wanted to learn. So? Sophia asked later. What do you think? I think he's genuine. Sees you for who you are. No buts. I like him. She hugged me. Thank you. For never giving up on me. For showing me what real love looks like. 3 years after the wedding that wasn't, I walked Sophia down a different aisle. Small ceremony in Brooklyn. The church where Rebecca and I married. 80 guests, mostly neighbors. Felix waited in a simple suit, his teacher father beside him. Both good men who measured worth by character. Her mother and I do, I said when asked. Rebecca was there. In every value, every lesson, every sacrifice. In Sophia's strength and wisdom and courage. The reception was church basement. Folding tables, homemade food, playlist music. Perfect. This is better, Sophia whispered during our dance. Better than what? Than the other wedding. Everyone here loves me for who I am. That's the only kind worth having. Later my phone buzzed. A known number. Mr. Holloway, this is Preston. I know I have no right to contact you. But I wanted to say I'm sorry. Not for getting caught or losing Sophia, but for how I treated you. You deserved better. I'm trying to become the kind of man who would have deserved her. Thank you for the example you set. BF. I typed back, good luck with that. It's hard work. But worth it. Standing in that church basement, watching Sophia dance with Felix, watching neighbors celebrate, I thought about Rebecca. About my promise to protect our daughter. Looking at Sophia, strong, wise, genuinely loved, I knew I'd kept that promise. Not perfectly. But honestly with everything I had. And that was enough. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever witnessed someone misjudge another based on their job or background? Have you had to stand up for your values even when it cost you something important? How do you recognize genuine character versus polished performance? Drop your stories in the comments. Remember, real strength isn't loud. It doesn't need expensive suits or titles. Real strength is showing up with dignity, treating people with respect regardless of status, knowing that what you build with your hands and heart matters more than what you buy with money. True wealth is measured in love. True success is raising good humans. True heroes are the quiet ones. Mechanics, teachers, nurses, firefighters who do right because it needs doing. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe button and turn on notifications. It's 1 second for you means the world to me. Stand tall, treat people right, and remember your worth isn't determined by anyone's opinion, especially not someone who measures people by bank accounts. See you in the next story.